Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Chris Mason with the Simple Empire podcast. Hope you're doing well. Really excited today because I have a guest. Her name is Malin, and she runs the YouTube channel and website Marling Yoga, where she is teaching yoga to beginners in just 10 or 15 minutes a day. She does a lot of different challenges on her YouTube channel. And so what we're going to talk about today specifically is how she began to build up her YouTube channel, her business. And, you know, at the time of this recording, she's approaching 70,000 subscribers. So definitely doing something right, and something that she was telling me before we started this interview that it's just now started to kind of take off for her in terms of growth. So we're going to dive into all that, get to know her a little bit better. And Malin, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So I wonder if you could, I gave a very brief intro there, but I'm curious if you could just kind of talk a little bit about how you got started in yoga. Like, what was it about yoga that drew you to it and decided to even start building a community around this topic?
So that's kind of two different things. I started with yoga a long time ago when I was working in fashion, and I had a boss. I have like ADHD, but not diagnosed, but I'm like really impatient. I was like always, like energetic, and she kind of forced me to start doing yoga and I hated it. It really was not for me. Like I was like a handball player when I was younger, and I loved like um, um, fighting and boxing and climbing and skiing, like everything that was adrenaline like boosting, I loved. So yoga was a challenge for me in the beginning. I think I was like 22 when I started, and my boss like brought me to class once a week, and it was a suffering. Like for me, it was like suffering the first year. And then I found Ashtanga yoga, and I got hooked with that. That's like, for me, it became like meditation in movement. And I think I'm an addict, I'm a recovering addict. So I wasn't a recovering addict then, so I got addicted to that kind of yoga. It was like really giving me a high to practice really hard. And like, yeah, I did it every day for like at least, 1.5 hours, and quite often more than that. And then that was like, I think 2005 or something like that. And then I started to be a health coach, and I tried to come away from the fashion industry. But I kind of was drawn by, I always worked with branding and like lifestyle. So then I started to work in New York and Los Angeles for Absolute Vodka, and I kind of, the yoga faded away from me. But I was teaching since 2007, I think, like twice a week. I always had like a real job on the side. This is so sad that I don't think of yoga teaching as a real job. But for me, it was always important to not depend financially on yoga, but to have a regular income so that I could be genuine in my teaching. But then after the New York kind of like really getting bananas, I went into the 12-step program and recovered from my addiction. And then I think like 3 years into my recovery program, I actually kind of got like a message. I was living in New York at the time, and I went to a lot of yoga classes, and I thought it was so much about fitness, and getting into shape. And I had an Indian guru when I did my teacher training. And for me, yoga is not about, getting fit. It's about, connecting to yourself, being kind to your body and your spirit, and really land in. And that's how I've used yoga to get to know myself and to be kind to, I'm always pressed myself really hard, and yoga helped me to be nicer to myself. So what I wanted to do with Marling Yoga was to combine what I learned in my recovery program and take yoga as a tool to find that kind of downtime. And then when I lived in New York, I got so annoyed with all this, like, you can push harder. Like for me, I was like, this is not yoga. And I got like angry at the classes. And then I was at the beach in Malibu, and I was like, you're a yoga teacher. If you don't like what you're getting, do something about it. And then it was also very expensive to go to classes. It was always like $20 or And I don't want it to be an elite thing. I wanted it to be for everyone. So I was thinking, if I do it digitally, I can do it for free for everyone who has a mobile device. And then I started to record every day.
Wow, that's really cool that it came out of your recovery as a
Yeah.
as a recovery tool for you, and then kind of you discovered this new approach to yoga, which I think is a differentiating factor for you, because it's not about fitness; it's about a connection to yourself. So I can, and this kind of goes into my next question. So I can totally see how um, that is like a calling card to people who want to have that same experience. So was that kind of what you were thinking when you started putting the videos on YouTube? Is that you just want to make this more accessible to people, and not in this specific way of thinking and doing yoga?
Yeah, I wanted to try to overcome like all the obstacles. I always think that we build up obstacles of not doing. Like for me, I've been doing yoga for 15 top years, you know, and I always wanted to do it every day, but I always found a reason not to. So it was also a little bit of a tool for myself to actually do yoga every day. And then I wanted to remove all obstacles. It doesn't you don't have to have a lot of space. You actually don't have to have a mat. You all like I do it in regular clothing sometimes, because you don't actually have to wear fitness clothes. You can do a little bit of yoga in your regular clothes.
That's cool. Actually, I noticed that on your videos that there are, like, you're not wearing the traditional, yoga pants or like the expensive athleisure stuff, but some of it you're just in, what you'd wear to work. And I was going to ask if there was intent behind that, and it sounds like it is.
Yeah, it is. I want it to be a reflection of my life, and that it's possible. Like I work before Corona, I worked as a flight attendant. And sometimes, you know, when you're in a hotel room, like the only place where I could record a video is on a bed. Then I do asanas that you can do on a bed, which is like not perfect. It's not like the best yoga class you're gonna do, but it's better than nothing.
And so when you started creating your videos, started your channel on YouTube, um, what how did you talk about the process of, like, was it scary when you first published your video versus now where, you're publishing content really regularly? Did you have to kind of change your mindset, or anything? Like, if you look back from the beginning to now, what have you gotten more comfortable with, that you kind of had to grow through or evolve?
In the beginning, I was terrified. I was absolutely terrified. And I grew up in Sweden. We have a saying called Jante, where it's just like you shouldn't think that you're more than anyone else. And I'm very like raised like that. So it was a really big obstacle to actually, like, you know, have the courage to do it public. And I was terrified of what people would think of me. But then I'm not thinking that Marling Yoga is me. I'm just a tool communicating the knowledge of yoga to other people. So what people think of me is irrelevant, or like I'm kind of irrelevant. I'm just a tool communicating a knowledge, and that makes it bearable with all those, you know, awful comments and, you know, the trolls that write awful things about. Like, I feel that it's never really about me. But of course, sometimes it's really hard.
Yeah, totally. I mean, and part of dealing with trolls or any kind of negative feedback is reminding yourself, which is hard, is that criticism is really about the people who are giving it.
Yeah.
That they would take the time to make those kind of comments says more about them than you. But when you're on the receiving, it's hard. It's hard for
Yeah.
sure.
One thing that I also learned is that it's never ever people who actually create anything themselves. It's only people who
Right.
doesn't have the blocked, you know, and they're trying. I mean, they never try to do anything, and because if you do things, you really respect people who does other things. Like, so I'm trying to think that I also try not to remove comments, because I think it's shame on them and not shame on me.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. That makes
sometimes
a lot
I
of
do
sense.
remove it.
That makes a lot of sense. Do you? So what's your rhythm like in terms of content creation now? Because I mean, it looks like you're putting something new like a few times a week. So like, how are
Every day.
you every day? Even
Yeah.
better. So like, how are you coming up with ideas for content? How much time is it taking for you to create these videos? That kind
This
of
is
stuff.
the best thing for me because I think that repetition is the best thing with yoga. I think that the things you do every day is what changes your life. And I'm not trying to change. Like the first thing I do is speak about three things that I'm grateful for, and that I do to remind myself of what I do have in life. And that's, some days it's like, that I woke up and I'm okay today, and sometimes it's that, I won the lottery or whatever it could be. Like sometimes it's great things, and sometimes it's just like, I'm not dead. I'm like alive and I could pay my rent, and sometimes it's a remarkable thing. So that's probably like, I think my talking is more the variation than the yoga, because I think that repetition is one of the key components in yoga. If I would do different things every day, people wouldn't benefit from it. So I think that it's the small inlanding things. Also, if you do the same movement every day, you're actually going to know your body. Like you're going to feel like today it feels different than it did yesterday. Whereas if you do different things all the time, you're actually not knowing the difference. So
Yeah.
yoga, when I was really new as a teacher, I always prepared my classes and did, like kind of a planning. But the more I was teaching, I had to look at the class and I had to feel it in. So I'm doing it on instinct, actually. The asanas, I just do whatever comes to me.
Yeah. And how do you spell that? The asana?
Asana, Asana.
Okay. Asana. That's a
Yeah,
specific
that
type.
is like a posture. It's just like Sanskrit for posture.
Okay. Gotcha. So when did you start to notice your subscriber base on YouTube growing? And do you have any insight into, was there one video that got shared a lot, or did you change something about the way that you were writing the content around the videos? Like, how did you start to gain some momentum to where now
Actually, I
you're
think it
approaching
was when I
70,000?
kind of paid less attention to, what I was writing under the videos and like the tags and stuff. Last summer, I was working on the road. I was working with a tour, and I just like struggle with producing the content every day. And I was just like really, putting up videos, without makeup and just whatever, like very, very real, because I didn't have time. And that's when it started to hit off. But I also think that's when I had like just reached 10,000 subscribers. So I'm not sure what was what, if it was me like just being more real, or if it was, the kind of like recognition of the channel.
Interesting. So you hit 10,000 subscribers, and to get to 10,000, you were just being consistent in
Yeah, that took me
producing
3 years.
content. Yeah. 2 years?
3 years.
3 years to get to
Yeah.
10,000. And
Yeah.
then has it been a year to get to where you are now? Or how long?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Like a
Wow.
year and a month or so. So it's been really like a snowball effect.
Yeah. A snuggle effect. I love that.
Snowball,
A
when the
snowball.
snowball, I think that's a Swedish expression maybe.
No, I'm with
But
you.
yeah.
I'm with you. I thought you said snuggle, and I was like, you were snuggling your community there. That's what I thought you were saying. But do you have any ideas on why it started to grow so quickly from 10 to 70?
No.
No, it just
But I
started
do
happening.
think, I think that the bigger you get, the more subscribers you get, but also that I'm probably more confident now. I'm probably like, in the beginning I was wearing the same clothes, and like I was more like really like focused on yoga. Now I'm more like myself, and it's just a part of my everyday routine now, and I think people start to feel comfortable with that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That
And then
totally
I
makes sense.
imagine that some of my videos get shared by some people, and they are hitting really big numbers.
Right, right. Yeah, and that's part of the beauty of it as well. Are you doing anything to connect with your subscribers off of YouTube, like trying to get them on an email list or anything like that?
No.
No?
I'm very lazy. What I decided for me, since I never had the intention of doing this my full-time job, I wanted it to be doable for me. Like I'd rather put up a video every day than have the ambition to put it up a special time every day. Or like, so what I did that I think has been major for me to keep it going, which I think is the key to my success, it has to be manageable. Like for me, sometimes I put it up 10 p.m. and sometimes I put it up 7 a.m. I didn't want to commit to any time because that wouldn't be manageable for me.
Yeah.
So that's one of the key factors for me. I want to put something up every day, but it has to be in a way that is manageable for me as a human being.
So let me ask you, are you looking to, so I hear you that when you first started this, it was a way to just make it available to more people. Are you starting to shift now to where you see this as something that could bring in income for you? Are you setting those kind of goals, or is money not a part of it for you right now?
I'm not setting any income goals, but I'm setting up goals of, what I want to share with the world more. So, so for this regular, like, for YouTube, I want it to continue to be for free. And I want this like 15 minutes to always be accessible for everyone and for free. But I also think that, if I put in more time, people can also invest a little bit of money if they really like that. So that's why I started Patreon, where I do a 1-hour class every week and where I go through the asanas a little bit more proper. And we are going more advanced into the yoga positions. In the 15 minutes classes, it's very, very basic. And on Patreon, it's a little bit more advanced.
Yeah. So it sounds like the way that, in this Patreon, is it new for you? Have you just started doing it?
Yeah,
or?
I just started 2 months ago.
Okay.
And I charge $25 for the exclusive subscription, and that's where you get the extra material. There's also $5 subscription where you only like sponsor me. If you like the content that I do on YouTube, you can pay me $5 a month. But
Gotcha.
I thought it was like a proper amount that I would be willing to pay, and that I think it's worth, if you get 4 yoga classes a month. I think it's a fair cost for that. And I think most people can afford $25 a month. So I wanted to make it like, not a robbery, but also like something that you value. Because I think if you get things for free, you don't really value it.
Right.
So I've been waiting, the ups and downs for that. So I put a price that I think is proper, but not like a robbery.
Have you gotten any insight, as your channel is growing, like is your big dream and vision, is it still to make it more accessible to people, or has it morphed into, now you even want to do it on a bigger scale, like building these little almost like pods of supporters, people who want to get the one-on-one with you, more like a coaching model? Do you have a vision or anything for what you want to do with that coaching side of the business, I guess, is my question there.
It's an interesting question. I think that I'm not gonna like dig into the one-on-one thing, because
Yeah.
I think that a community is really important when you learn something new. So that's not something that I'm going to invest my time. I do it if I get requests, but I am more into kind of start lecturing in a subject that I'm very passionate about, that is escapism, that I think is celebrated in today's society. I think we're trying to escape our emotions a lot. So I'm looking into scaling up different areas of maybe more my recovery program, but that I combine with yoga.
Totally. Yeah, I love that. What was the word you just used? Escapism?
Escapism.
What is that?
When you try to run away from whatever it is you feel.
Yeah.
Like you flee
Yeah.
your own emotions.
Yeah.
You could do it by running or drugging or drinking or sexual, like behavior. It's like a lot of different versions of it, but I think it's a huge problem, and I think it's celebrated by society, and I want to raise the awareness around that.
Yeah. So, I mean, the word I think of is like, it's the way that you cope with pain or discomfort.
Yeah, or like life, which is going to
Yeah,
be both happiness. I think a lot of people also cope with happiness by drinking or
sure.
drugging. Or like, I think we're not raised in knowing how to deal with our emotions, and I
Mm.
had to go through it in a really hard way by being an abuser of drugs and alcohol. And I think if I can share that knowledge with people before it's get too far, that would be beneficial for many, many people.
Wow. Um, I love that. That's such a bigger, um, a bigger why for you, and seeing that, like I don't know your recovery story, but I love that you're now seeing a way to tie that in to what you've built on your YouTube channel, to now potentially make a pivot and start talking about, now that you've gained, trust, and you have your own platform, that you have opportunities like this, that you can start to talk on different topics and build community around
Yeah, so
the
I
recovery
think
work.
that's more
Yeah.
of where I would love to take this business, and I always wanted to be a speaker, so that's where I'm like putting my energy right now. But also I'd love to do I've been in fashion for many years, and I love style and stuff. So I think also maybe do some yoga mats and maybe some clothes, and not the typical ones, that because I don't like the tights, and I don't like what people regularly wear. So maybe more like a Marling Yoga kind of outfit or something like that.
Right. Totally. And let me let me ask you, if somebody's listening to this, and they're getting started, they're running their business, whatever the niche is, but YouTube is not an area that they've explored, but they like the idea of starting a YouTube channel. They want to get started. What advice would you give to them on starting a YouTube channel, beginning to grow a community there? What's an important piece of advice you'd give them?
First of all, follow your own vision. A lot of people have so many opinions. uh, like, don't listen too much, follow your own vision. And consistency, just do it. Like, that's what I decided. Like, no matter how I feel, no matter what I want, I'm putting a class out every day. Like, sometimes I feel like a fat cow, sometimes I'm like sick. It doesn't matter, I'm going to put my class out, and that's like a no negotiable. Like, so put your goals that are like doable and just do them. Like, don't ever negotiate with yourself to not do it, because I think on YouTube, consistency is the key for success. Like, I never know which class is going to be like a 1 million views, or which one is going to be 5,000 views. Like, I never ever have an idea why. I still have no idea which one becomes popular. And but I do one every day, and once in a while they hit off. And I think that's been like the key. And no one believed in me when I was starting this. Everyone's like, yeah, it's a cool project, whatever. Like, I was in a tech startup then, and everyone's like, yeah, whatever, do your little yoga thing. Like, and now I continued. And that's the only reason why it's a success. If I had only done it for 1 year, I would have been at 5,000 subscribers, and I would not have been where I am. But I continued.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the simplicity part, because simple is different than easy, but the
Yeah.
simplicity is just showing up
Yeah.
every day.
And that's also one of the things that I really want to communicate through my channel, that yeah, showing up is like the most important thing. Like, it doesn't matter how you feel or what you look like. Some of the days when the last thing I want to do is yoga, that's the classes that's been the most popular ones, and where people are writing to me that continuing doing yoga with me has changed their life. And then it's worth every struggle or every like insecure that I overcome to do that.
Love it.
um
Love it. So if somebody wants to connect with you, after hearing a little bit more of your story, get to know you a little bit better, what's the best way for them to do that?
By email, I think.
Okay, by email. And
Yeah.
how can they get your email?
My email is marlingyoga@gmail.com.
marlinyoga@gmail.com. And then if they want to go check out your videos, we'll put a link to everything. But what would they search? Marlin Yoga on YouTube as well?
Yeah, I think Marling Yoga is the key to reach to me.
That's right. Just
It's my
shout out
website, and
Marlin
there you
Yoga.
can find out more about me as a person. I have my like story there, and then on YouTube you get all the access to all the videos. And then if you want more, you can subscribe on Patreon.
Yeah, and to anybody who is listening and you've resonated with um, in any part of Marlin's story, and even if you've been thinking about um, doing yoga, but maybe you were turned off by the fitness aspect of it, if you want to learn about the unique way that she's doing yoga, then definitely check out her channel, check out her website, and consider supporting her through Patreon. And you get that exclusive content from her every month. So definitely encourage folks to go and do that. But this was a great conversation. I really enjoyed talking with you and hearing some of your story. I really appreciate you sharing it with us.
Well, thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll end this as I do every podcast, guys. If anybody out there is listening and you have at least 50,000 subscribers on any social media channel, you know that we've got the Profit Partner System you might be eligible for, and that's where I'm going to spend my own money to help you build a digital marketing product and funnel and a revenue stream for you for free. So if that sounds like a really good deal to you and you want to learn more, just go to simpleempire.com. And that's it. So Marlin, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much.
All right.